Happy Tuesday, everybody. This is TCC Talks, Volume 3, with the amazing Ricky Diaghe, who's a motion graphics designer and has been on the books for many, many years. We're not entirely sure how many, but a number of years. And we're really excited to bring you this event, as it's our mission for us to share and utilize our freelancers and the knowledge that we have about the industry and various roles within the media industry, to share that with you guys. And hopefully you can use this as a tool to help you make a decision about perhaps what kind of role you'd like to go into in the media industry. And if you have any questions at all, Laura will be interviewing Ricky for the next 25 minutes or so, and then we'll have an opportunity at the end for Ricky to answer any questions you might have, or we can also help answer any questions. So if you do have a question, feel free to just pop it in the chat box, and then we'll come to those at the end of the talk. But yes, Laura's going to be speaking to Ricky, as I mentioned, an incredible motion graphics designer, and since his time with us, he's worked with a variety of creative agencies and ITV studios, just to name a couple. But yeah, the session is recorded, which I think I already mentioned. But yes, just to let you know, it is recorded. So if you have any issues with that, or if you prefer to keep your camera off, then that is up to you. But yes, I will let Laura take it away. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Amy. Okay, so we'll just get straight into it, I think, because there's lots to cover. So Ricky, we just want to talk to you about your kind of motion graphics career, and we know that you studied it at uni, and we just wanted to find out really what you thought your best way of learning while studying was. Did you prefer being shown? Do you prefer being more hands-on? What was your kind of experience in that sense?
It's a bit of both, to be honest. I feel like the way when I was first shown After Effects, as naive as it sounds now, it felt like it was moving Photoshop. And the way I learned Photoshop, pretty much MySpace days, was some of you people might be so young that it's like, what's MySpace? But MySpace days, like, it was just like that was me just learning everything myself. Like, I was just like downloading plugins and understanding how to like use curves and levels and blah blah blah. And when I first got shown After Effects at university, like, it just felt kind of intuitive. But then I say it's a bit of both, because I feel like, yeah, we're a YouTube learning generation, and just seeing videos from Andrew Kramer, Video Copilot, or there's Motion Hatch, there's Motionographer, like just seeing all of these great guys teach you how to do certain things in After Effects. I guess that's being shown, but at the same time, I'm in the program and I'm kind of doing what they're saying and adapting it. So I don't know, it's a bit of both. But I feel that for sure I'm a visual learner. I've known that for a long time. So I don't think I can really read a book about After Effects. I need to be shown and be hands-on. So a bit of both. Yeah,
no, absolutely. That makes total sense. I think I'm very similar to you. I have to just try it out and see it in there. Can you tell us a bit about how you started as a freelancer? So things like, how did you find your first client? How did you decide? Well, we can maybe do it in stages, because I want to talk about how you decided what you would charge, and then how you knew it was kind of the right decision for you, rather than pursuing, you know, a permanent role somewhere. So how you first started as a freelancer would be great.
Once again, I was pretty naive, and I was just like, I didn't know what freelancer meant. I just, like, the way I was felt I was taught at uni, you know, you do your self-initiated projects, and then you have an idea and you just get out there. So like, how did I get my first client? I feel like even when I was like 15, 16, I was trying to do like graphic design flyers and posters for like local retail shops, like boutique shops. So that was freelancing, but I didn't know it was called that. I was just like, hey, I want to do some work for you. But I'd say on a proper professional level, I've mentioned it in some of my music, but I used to just send like as many like emails a day to like new clients or people that I wanted to work with, as long as I knew it. How did I get my first freelance client? I guess. So initially I started doing music videos and I was just contacting friends like, hey, I love this song. Can I do a music video for you? There was a website called radarmusicvideos.com where you could get like briefs from all over the world in regards to music videos. I used to submit treatments for that. That was freelance, I guess. That's just putting yourself out there. In a nutshell, it's just putting yourself out there. I'll say on a consistent professional level, yes, crew and company, you are the dons, you are the guys that help me like get freelance work on a consistent basis. And to share kind of, I guess, a gem, when I went from full-time to freelance, if I was really smart about it, I would have established having a few freelance clients before I left my full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
But because I was like, I think I was 24, 25, because I was all in on just like trying to understand where my music career could go. Because my three goals when I was just before I was 25 was like, I want to make an album about my life. I want to go skydiving, and I want to see my dad for the first time. And in regards to like my music goal, I was like, the only way I can really have the time to really make this work, I need to move back to my mum's. And me and my mum, we got a, let's say, interesting relationship. I haven't lived with her for a good 10 years, so it was kind of difficult. But I was like, that's the only way I'm going to make it work. So if it was a perfect scenario, I wouldn't have went back to my mum's. I would have had a freelance clients before I left my full-time job. But as I said, I wasn't that smart at the time. I was like, let me go back to my mum's and let me make it work. So then I would say on a consistent basis, I got my freelance clients through Crew and Company. But even when I got my first freelance, like on a higher level client through Crew and Company, I was like, I'm working on a music video this week. Basically, Crew and Company rang me up like, hey, we've got a job for you. Are you interested? And I was like, no, I'm working on a music video for the next 2 weeks. And I remember specifically, I probably didn't get a call back from Crew and Company. Like, it felt like 6 weeks later. So I learned from that moment, I was just like, Rick, you need to be basically a yes man for a while because you haven't got enough clients on your roster. You haven't made enough work to be able to like flex your time like this. And I feel like I've been a yes man probably up until the last, I've been with you guys at least, it feels like 8 to 10 years, probably up until like 6, 7 years ago. I feel like I just have to accept the jobs that I can get. But when I look back on just like reflecting, how much time have I spent freelancing to like doing my music work? It sounds really good now. It hasn't been as easy as this, but I probably spend like 2 to 3 weeks on freelance work and then a week on my music work. And it sounds like a great lifestyle. But as I said, because the difficult thing, the work's kind of sporadic. It could be like 3 days here, then 2 weeks there. Like I've learned to just be dynamic and just make everything work around freelance work. Whether it's pulling an all-nighter to do my music or whatever I need to do, I just make it work around the freelance work because it's not as you just have to be adaptable. Mm-hmm. Basically, that's the main thing I've learned. You never know what's around the corner.
Yeah, it's true. I think as well, just touching on, because you mentioned that we got you into some clients, but this is without sounding like I'm gushing, but I think like the whole point is that the reason we've managed to get you with so many clients is because that's testament to you and your hard work. And then when you're with clients, impressing them with your skills and being easy and adaptable and just kind of easy to work alongside. And I think that makes such a difference because really our job is just to get somebody in with their first client, and then it kind of snowballs from there. If they're good at what they do and they are great to work with and they have creativity and can follow direction and all that kind of thing. So, it's testament to you, Ricky, really, that you have worked with so many clients through us.
Yeah, and I'm glazing over a bit of my journey, so I'm sorry about this, guys, but it's like, you know, as I said, like I'm just like a proper hard worker. So I remember like I was on LinkedIn just looking for jobs, and I remember I had a few interviews at BBC. You know, I've done an internship at Lambernan. I've worked at LBI on Brick Lane. Like I kind of glaze over some things, but I've just been like on it. Just like I get up every morning and just like, let me look for opportunities on LinkedIn or whatever the website, just like, where are these jobs at? So like, there was like, what I really appreciate about Crewing Company, there was a time where I felt like if I wasn't working, then I was constantly trying to find work, which gave me no free time to think about music or anything else. But then with Crewing Company, it got to a point where I was just like, you know what? These guys are probably better at representing you. And they're constantly on it. So it's like, when you're not actually working, you can focus on music or on your passion projects. That's kind of how my life worked for a long time. It's just like, when you're working, just you're in it, just work as hard as you can. When you're not working, Crewing Company are representing you, so you can focus on writing, photography, whatever.
Yeah.
Which was massive for like my mental health, because honestly, like there was a time where I was just like, I felt like if I wasn't working, I was constantly trying to find work, and just to have that equilibrium where it's just like a better work-life balance has been a blessing.
Definitely. And maybe actually we could touch on that a little bit. So for anybody that is looking to head into a freelance world and they are constantly looking for clients and it can feel a bit nerve-wracking at times, like what sort of advice would you offer them if they are in that position where it's full on? Would you advise them to take some breaks, or to divide their time a bit, or how would you suggest that somebody would do that?
Find an amazing agent like Crewing Company, and all your answers will be revealed. I feel like my kind of work-life balance is not something to be advised. I'm the sort of person that I'll go all in for like, I don't know, 6, like I don't know how long, like even including the weekends, I'll go all in. So that's my doorbell. I won't answer it.
Did you miss a package?
Actually, you know what? Let me just double check it. One sec.
No, that's absolutely fine. And maybe just while Ricky's doing that, so I suppose to everybody, that is one thing about the agency, and then plug us in, but we are sort of that extra pair of eyes and ears for a freelancer. And I do think Ricky makes a really good point that you are freelancers. You sort of feel like you are spending a lot of time trying to find clients, and that can feel really, really exhausting. And I think if you can get in with an agency, there are a lot of us out there, it's not just the Crewing Company, there's others too, but they are that extra pair of eyes and ears, so it can hopefully help you relax a bit. You can look at clients, but you know you've got somebody looking out. All good?
Yes, all good. There's a package from my partner, but yeah, back in the game. I'm here.
Yeah, you don't want to miss that.
Yes, of course.
Great. So yeah, so you were saying that you go full steam ahead, and maybe the way you do things that you say isn't advisable, but it's obviously worked for you.
Yeah, it's I feel like after like a couple years of freelancing, I started to, as I said, notice a pattern where I was like, all right, you're roughly working, let's say 2-3 weeks. So it got to a point where it's just like, if I do feel like I'm experiencing burnout, then I'll just take like 2 weeks off. It's just pretty much about knowing yourself. Like, so I would, like, if I felt I was on the verge of burnout, I'd just book a last minute holiday. To be honest, I was just like, all right. But the thing is, it's not even like a full-on holiday. I'll go to like Berlin and I'll still be doing photography. That's more of like a passion. So I'll just clock myself out of just working all the time.
Yeah.
But as I said, a combination of just like knowing yourself and knowing when you're on the verge, just have a break, and having brilliant representation.
No, that's really good advice. I think the knowing yourself bit is so important, isn't it? Knowing when, just before you get to that point, so you never get to that point. So you get yourself that break, and then you can come back feeling more refreshed and everything. So just moving on then, how did you, this is a tricky one, because everyone's different, everyone's skill set's different, but how did you decide what you were going to start charging? And then how, I suppose, over time, have you reconsidered your rates, and what advice kind of would you give in that sense?
It's a good question. So sometimes it's not tasteful to talk about, you know, numbers and stuff, but I'll just say from a junior perspective, this is pretty much what kind of really kind of crystallized how I move forward. So basically, when I graduated out of uni, I graduated from graphic design new media, by the way, guys, which was just new realms into where graphic design could go. So back then, Flash wasn't obsolete, so I did a bit of Flash, web design, video editing. I did all sorts. So I just looked at myself as that kind of, graphic designer, illustrator, Renaissance man. And I realized pretty quickly when I was having internships in the industry and just talking to a friend that was a year above me that was working at Apple, he was like, Rick, do you know that a junior graphic designer gets £75 a day? A junior animator gets £150 a day. I was just like, what? I was just like, double the rate. I was just like, but I know how to do like animation. So my thing was, when he told me that, especially as I was struggling as a graphic designer, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna double down on motion graphics, and I'm gonna hibernate for like a month, work on my show reel, and then I'm gonna change my CV. I'm gonna come up like, hey guys, I'm only a motion graphic designer. I don't do graphic design. I'm just focusing on this. And I feel that's what changed the game for me. I don't know if that answers the original question. Sorry, guys, I go on tangents sometimes. No. But that's that. I feel like when I made that transition, that was like a big deal. And in a sense of that transition as well, when I had my internship at Lambanan, I got that through D&AD because when I graduated, I got a D&AD New Blood Award, Design and Advertising Design Award, and so they managed to get me that internship, and I was there for 3 months. So Lambanan, they did like the iconic Channel 4 ident and loads of great stuff. But I remember when I was there, I felt like I wasn't valued as a graphic designer. I felt like I was helping on the PowerPoints, but and doing a few logos and whatnot. But I just didn't feel that valued. Whereas when I was doing a bit of photography or when I was doing animation, it felt like I was valued. Plus, an insight that I noticed from that 3-month internship was that literally there was no animators in the company at the time. Like they always got them freelance. Like the creative director didn't know how to use After Effects and whatnot. So I was just like, so that gave me an insight like, oh, actually, if I do double down on motion graphics, then it's going to be more valued to the company, because I don't know if it's the transition of print to digital media, which seems like quite like obvious now, but back that internship was probably around 2010, 11. It seemed like that was quite a new thing. Like I don't know, it felt like most expertise around me was still in like print and packaging. So just from being in the industry and having that internship, that really let me see like, oh, where can I be of value to companies? Mm-hmm. So yes, it wasn't just the money from what my friend said, who was a year above me. It was also understanding that when I was in companies where my energy was more attracted and where I felt value from the clients.
Yeah, I think that's a really great way to look at things as well, because like I say, it's the sort of money will come secondary once you start doing things that you know there's value in it, and you know that your passion is there for it. I think that's a really great way to look at things.
Because at the time, just go on another tangent. At the time, I did a music video for a friend, and I remember he was like, "Yeah, I didn't know what to charge him, but I think he gave me like, I don't know, £150." And literally, the video took me about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, at least 2 weeks. And then I was just like trying to work out a day rate from it. I was just like, this is never going to work. But I love the video so much. Like, it's still on my website. Like, I love I created a narrative, a storyboard, and it's still one of my favorite works to this day. So I've definitely not been one to just follow money. Like in regards to working with young people in foster care, that is it's never to do with money. It's like, it's a passion project. I came from, I was in foster care myself, and just to give back to that community has been incredible. You know, photography, like that's just a passion project, and that's manifested into like paid opportunities. So that's never been my way of thinking. I've always been like, passion first and we'll work it out. But in the sense of like actually having a sustainable career, I think a combination of having friends within my network that have got more experience telling me about rates, plus my experience within companies as an intern, seeing where what they value from me and what I value from them, a combination of all of these experiences made me understand, okay, where am I going to go in my career?
Yeah, no, that's amazing advice. And actually, maybe just on that, for anybody that's watching, if you are struggling to kind of price yourself and you don't even know what figure to pluck out of the air, we're here to answer questions as well. So if you did want to give us a ring or drop us an email and just sort of gauge, we can help you gauge the kind of rates that are out there that are reasonable.
Yes, 100%. On that you guys helped me. You guys have definitely helped me step up my day rate. I think I remember even when I joined, you know, I would have said my rate at the time, and I asked, like, you know, is this the going rate for a mid-weight motion graphic designer? And you told me like a range, and I remember just sitting myself in the middle of that range. And then, yes, you guys have been super helpful in the sense of just understanding what my rate should be and how to even up my rate, whether it's like learning 3D or that's always been super helpful, just being able to talk to you guys about where I stand in the industry.
Well, that's good to know that we that we can help in that area. It's great. Thank you for going through all of that. So the next question we had was, how did you decide what software you would use, and then how have you improved on that particular software or softwares as time has gone on?
It's a good question. So I feel like I just doubled down on After Effects. That like, because it's immense what you can do in it, you know, whether it's like, you know, rotoscoping or more like infographic based stuff, or being a specialist in trap code. There's so much you can do with it. And to be honest, in the sense of like, going back to the last question of up my day rate, I felt there was like a point in 2014, 15, where it's like, oh, to up my day rate, I need to learn 3D. And just kind of not having imposter syndrome, but just like feeling like, all right, to the trajectory of a motion graphic designer is that I need to learn 3D and I need to do this. And it was kind of bugging me because Cinema 4D is not that intuitive to me. I know how to do a few bits in it, but it's not. I haven't spent the time to really learn it. So what I've noticed is that obviously from 2015, there's been more of a space for like social media graphics. Like predominantly, a lot of stuff I'm doing now is motion graphics for Spotify, and it's to advertise their playlist and their artists that they want to represent on their social media. So like a few years ago, I was like, oh, you know, to go to the next level, I do need to learn like Cinema 4D and XYZ. But I found that I feel like I'm finding a niche for myself where it's just like short form advertising for not only digital out of home, so stuff you'll see on the underground, but also social media graphics. And I'm quite content about being in that space. Whereas, as I said, in 2015, I was like, oh, you know, what's the next level? I need to learn 3D, but it doesn't feel that intuitive to me. By the way, guys, I go on tangents sometimes to the point where I'm just like, have I actually answered that question?
Ricky, it's all really interesting. And I think the thing is you're telling your truth. And I think that's really important because, you know, there might not always be strategies, and we can talk about strategies all we want, but actually sometimes it is just about following, right? This is what I like doing. I figured out that I trialed those sorts of bits, not really into them, really like this. This is also aligning with my passion of music. And that's such a great thing. You know, it doesn't have
Yeah.
to have, we don't have to have like a linear journey, do we? We can sort of pull on different.
Yeah, and you know, it's never been concrete. I've just been like, let me just immerse myself within the media industry, and I'll work it out. That's in a nutshell, guys. If there's anything you take away, my thing is just immerse yourself in your passion, immerse yourself in the industry, and you'll work it out. Like there's no one route. Like I got friends that are like, oh yeah, to up your day rate, become a UX designer, Rick. Because I like my friend that said that worked at Apple, like he's always followed the money, to be real. But like, what I've noticed about him is that he's not passionate about what he's doing, and like it's taken its toll on him. Whereas I've always been like, you know what, I love making stuff move. Like, essentially, that's like the fact that I can make stuff move for a living has been a blessing. Like that's all I've really cared about. And it's like, oh, my thing now in the future is like, okay, cool. I know that's a simplistic goal, just making stuff move for a living. But it's like, if I can match it with music a bit more, then I feel like I'll be super content, and I'm on that trajectory already. So that's the thing. Like, you know, there's like, you guys might know about Spark AR to make like Instagram filters and all sorts of AR stuff. And you know, that seems like a thing that if you're looking for like ways to make money and blah blah blah, it's like that's definitely a niche that that you can learn. But yeah, for me, it's like as long as I'm making stuff move and it's connected to music, I'm happy.
Yeah.
So yeah, just follow your passion, you'll work it out.
Exactly. No, that's great advice. I think we probably answered this question already. But the next question I had was, at what point did you feel like you had the right amount of skills and experience to embark on a freelancer journey? But I sort of feel like we've answered that in some way. So I sort of want to change it to say, at what point did you feel like, I know what I'm doing now, and I know I'm good at this, and I'm very confident in my ability?
So before I went freelancing with you guys, I told you about the point of when I went from graphic designer to like, I'm going to double down on motion graphics. Mm-hmm. Although I doubled down, I probably got my first job from that, my first long-term job from that about 2 months later.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, when I went into the company, I was with them for 3 years, Clear Ideas. They're owned by MSC Saatchi. They're like a quantum qual marketing research company. When I went into there for the first time, and I said my day rate based on what my friend told me, my heart was beating, but I was just like this is a serious gig. I got to make sure this works. And I didn't know what a junior motion graphic designer was supposed to, the amount of work they're supposed to do in a day. So at that time, I remember like, I might have just went on a lunch break for about 10 minutes just to get a sandwich and just keep on working through till like 7 o'clock. And funny enough, I stayed at that company for 3 years. And that's where I got the majority of my learning. And the reason why I felt confident within that job for 3 years is because, once again, no one knew how to edit, do videos, photography, do motion graphics within the company. They're always hiring freelancers. And even I felt a little bit of imposter syndrome when I was getting animators in that have worked for Disney to be a part of my team, and I was managing them, and they're a lot older than me. But yet we got the job done, and you know, and I was great at it. So like there was points where I was just like, you know what, I feel like I'm still this way. Like I have to rise to the occasion. I'm not too sure if I could do this, but I'm gonna put my all in and I'm gonna rise to the occasion. So that's where I felt I got the confidence to go freelance. Especially, managing teams and knowing that, hey, there's no one else within this company that I'm working at that knows how to do what I do. That's where I got the confidence. So I think that answers your question.
Definitely does. Yeah, I love it. Rising to the occasion is a great way to put it. I love it. The next question is very practical, and we sort of briefly discussed this before, Ricky. And you don't worry about giving like specific advice, because it's such a minefield, and it's down to everybody to do their individual research. But just talking about employment status, sort of how did you come to a decision on, you know, when you were exploring limited companies, whether to be under an umbrella? There's so much out there, sole trader, all that type of thing. Sort of how did you decide? what avenue you're going to take employment status wise?
Yeah, it's a good question, and on the most part, I feel like you need to speak to experts, accountants, and like crew and company, and people that are more versed in that, because I've had a minefield of good and bad experiences. But essentially, when I didn't know much, I was a sole trader, and then I think I went through all of them basically. So I went through an umbrella company at the point where I was advised from a few friends once again, but then I was with Crunch. I think I was with Crunch for a little while. That's the umbrella company I remember. And I've always been like, all right, let me just focus on the creative work, and I want someone else to do my paperwork. And I'm still that way to this day. But then I feel like when I was with an umbrella company, I think I changed because I felt that was taking too much money off me. But more so, I think I went to a limited company because I was at a point where I was just like, all right, cool, I'm doing motion graphics. I need to put my photography work through this. And plus I was starting to do workshops with young people where I was potentially going to employ other people to be a part of my company. So that's the main reason I think I went to a limited company. Otherwise it wouldn't have worked for an umbrella company. Like the amount of things I'm doing, it wouldn't have worked under an umbrella company. So and even so, when I became, just before I went to a limited company, actually, I'll explain a little bit about the bad experience that I had with an umbrella company. So I had a friend who was like, oh, these guys can like lower your tax and whatnot. They used to pay me in installments, let's say. That like, so I'll send them like an invoice, and I used to get like weekly payments until that invoice is paid. And I was kind of cool with it, because like when I was looking at what I knew from tax, I was just like, actually, it looks all right. But then HMRC got in contact with me like 3 years later, said I was a part of a tax avoidance scheme.
Oh no.
And to be honest, it just obviously caused more of a headache. And then I had to like pay all this money back to HMRC like 3 years later. And I was just like more stressed than it was worth. Yeah. So be very careful when people say they can save you money on tax. Be very, very careful.
Yeah, I think it's a shame when you feel like you're doing the right thing as well, and you still manage, it's still something like that happens. So you're right, doing the research, like looking into the umbrella companies, because there are some brilliant ones out there, and I think it can feel very easy for some people if they are just on a payroll, everything's dealt with for them. But yeah, you're right, Ricky. Just get the advice from accountants and other people. And I suppose what stage you're at in your career as well. Like you mentioned, becoming a limited company is because you're at that stage now, and you are thinking about the bigger picture and what actually your job entails and all the bits that you've got going on with that. Yeah. No,
but yeah, as I said, guys, talk to the experts, talk to a crew and company, talk to accountants, because I'm the worst when it comes to that side of things.
I know what you mean, though. So much nicer having somebody just dealing with it for you, and then you can focus on what you want to focus on. So that's great.
And even like chasing invoices and all that stuff. Like basically, guys, I use a bookkeeping app called Free Agent that I got with NatWest when I opened up my limited company account. And it's been amazing, because I remember when I first started freelancing, actually, I remember just having to chase people to actually pay my invoice. And sometimes it wasn't 30 days, it might be 2 months, or just, to be honest, there was one guy I did a logo for. And imagine, this guy used to be one of UK's top 10 tailors, and he had a shop on Savile Row, Prestigious Street in West London. And he took 6 months to pay me.
Wow.
So I've had some mad experiences on the come up, but what I love about Free Agent is that it after 30 days it automates sending emails to clients that still need to pay, which has been amazing, because like me just like checking up with people is just annoying. The fact that they keep on getting a reminder, that's less headache for me. But also what I love about Crew and Company again is that, you know, they're the ones doing the chasing and making sure like invoices are paid. So that's why it's been such a blessing, just having basically a team around you that does the stuff that you're not great at. You can just focus on the creativity and just doing the job to the best of your ability. And the people that are better at representing you, chasing invoices, your accounts, are doing their job. So yeah.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Ricky. That's great. So a quick question here. How do you find your work-life balance? Because I know it sort of merges.
Honestly, I'll be honest with you guys. I don't know. I'm still working it out. Like, as I was saying before the call, like initially, in the 80-20 rule, or what I focused most of my energy on, I was like, you know what? To get out of my mum's, to be sustainable, to like live the life that I want to live, I just need to like go all in on motion graphics. And that was how I initially started. So I was a yes man. And I feel, as I said before, I was a yes man for a very long time. And then, so essentially when on my days off, when I wasn't being booked, I used to do my music and I used to do photography. But then it reached a point where it's just like all three of these things are happening at the same time. It was only until about a few weeks ago, I felt I was on the verge of burnout, because like when I first started motion graphics, photography, people didn't know me for photography, people didn't know me for music, but now it's like people know me for all three things. It's like I have found it hard to like manage all three. But recently I've read a book called The One Thing by Gary Keller, which in a nutshell basically says, what's the one thing you can do that will eliminate you doing everything else? Yeah, in a nutshell, that's basically what the book says. And I feel like motion graphics is that, but because from like a personal story point of view, like music has been so fulfilling, and the experiences that I've got from music, I can't fully cut it off. Like yes, music hasn't necessarily paid me, but the fact that my band has been able to perform at Glastonbury, at Lovebox, at Boomtown, like that experience is priceless. And if I don't necessarily do that in the future, I want to be able to help the community that I've came from. Like the fact that I've been in foster care, I want to be able to help the next generation know that, hey, look, you can do it too. You just need to be consistent with your craft. I don't know if that's answered your question, but the work-life balance thing is very difficult. But I would say, and what I've always said is like, just follow your curiosity. When it comes to the balance, you'll work out eventually. Because I feel like if you follow your curiosity, you're going from a place of passion. And when you go from a place of passion, you've got so much more energy than if you're pursuing, if it's just for money or if it's just for some ulterior motive. If it's from a passion place, you're going to have a lot more energy for it. And that's pretty much how I've operated for a very long time. Like everything that I've done has been from a passion perspective. And I feel artistically, when you look through my portfolio, the best work has been from a passion project. So like, I didn't explain this at the start, but for a long time, I felt like the motion graphics I was doing was basically jazzing up PowerPoints. I'll be real with you, like it wasn't that inspiring. Like I was looking at movie title sequences. I was looking at people that are mixing motion graphics and music videos, and I was just like, oh, this is so inspiring, it's so sick. Like, you know, if I didn't have this pursuit of music, then, you know, my trajectory in a few years is that I'm just going to go to LA and work for for Carl Cooper, or just a motion graphics studio that focuses on just motion graphics for movie title sequences, because I feel like that's the highest echelon of where I've seen motion graphics done in like a super incredible way. But because that wasn't really happening, because I felt like I was basically making jazzed up PowerPoints better than they could be, I was like, you know what? All right, cool. I'm grateful for this work, but I need to show what I'm really capable of through my passion projects. So doing music videos for myself and friends, I feel like that's where you really see my love for music, and you really see me push my creativity. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
On another tangent, I think that answers the question.
That's brilliant. It's brilliant, Ricky. It actually brings me really nicely onto the next question, which is, you mentioned in your interview with Tom that your favourite work has been shooting and editing your own band's music video. So we just wanted to know a bit more about the process of that, where your inspiration came from, you know, how you created it.
So I've always been, I came up in the MTV generation. So I've always been inspired by like visuals and music videos and artwork, and process wise, I guess more so these days. So I used to have a blog where I used to just put everything that inspired me, music videos, pictures, illustrations on, but I feel like I'm using Pinterest a lot more now, and I just log anything that I think is cool, typography, motion graphics, music videos. I just log it all on Pinterest, and I generally do that pretty much every day. So then when it comes to doing a music video, when it comes to like, oh Rick, we want a type treatment for XYZ for a client, I just go to my ideas board on Pinterest. I'm just like, actually, I think this would be quite cool, or this would be quite cool, and basically I create a treatment. So that's typically how I go about starting a music video. So for my music video for Full Time, I was aware of, I love double exposure imagery, and I've always been trying to merge motion graphics with photography somewhere or another. So it's like a double exposure music video. And at the time, True Detective title sequence came out, which is really cool and felt really innovative at the time. And basically, because I loved the title sequence, I found a tutorial, someone done a tutorial on YouTube on how to do it. I was like, oh, it's done in After Effects, I know how to do this. So the music video was called Full Time, or the music was called Full Time. And the whole point of it is like, if you're not working on your own dream, then you're working on someone else's dream. And I felt like we've got this whole universe of potential within us that we need to manifest. So the double exposure idea worked really well with it. So I knew from my, having my inspiration board on Pinterest, I'm going to use this sole idea to really represent the theme of the song.
Yeah.
So that's typically, whether it's for my work or for a client's work, I've always got like an inspiration board I can bounce off. So I'm always prepared. Yeah,
that's awesome. I love that. It's so interesting actually to hear the context behind your thought process on it. I didn't know that. That's great. So speaking of your music, I know that you mentioned before that you work with kids in the foster community, and you've been teaching them how to rap. I know you've got other things in the pipeline as well. I know kind of many freelancers who are already established in their roles are really keen to give back. So it would just be great to hear from you kind of how that all came about and how you managed that.
I'm gonna try and be more concise now. What I love about being a freelancer is that it's gave me the time to pursue my passions. Like, if I was working although I started music on a very kind of regimented routine when I was full time, I feel like the real blessings of being a freelancer is just literally having the time to pursue my passion projects. So the way music came about is that when I was working full time, I used to write every other day in the evenings to go to the studio on a Sunday. So I'll do my 9 to 5, and then on Monday, Wednesday, Friday evening, from like 10 to 1 o'clock in the morning, I'll be writing, and I go into the studio on a Sunday. And then when I went freelance, I was like, I need more time to do the music videos and do the marketing and blah, blah, blah. So cut long story short, I kind of realized after a while, the music industry might not necessarily respect my story. They might not think it's good enough, but because my first album was about my experience in foster care, social services will probably value this story. And even the way that me being open enough to tell my story in foster care, it came about from just being immersed in hip hop and understanding that, look, if hip hop is really the voice of the voiceless, why have I never heard from the perspective of someone who's been in foster care? And when I had that epiphany, I was like, this could be really powerful and really help the next generation of young people that have been in care. So I went all in on that idea, tried to find any social services email address I could find on Google, because I didn't know how to go about it again. So I felt like I emailed about 100 people. I found randomly on Google, probably about 5 got back to me. Most of them were like, yeah, this is great, Rick, good luck. But one of them were like, hey, Rick, one of your songs, Hide and Seek, fits perfectly with our theme this year for the Young Looked After Children's Awards, which happens in the sector every year. They're like, could you come up here to perform it with the young people? I was like, oh, that'd be sick. And just to see, basically, they choreographed the dance to my song, and just to see their creativity on what I created was like, you know, no money can buy that. Like that, it was such an incredible experience. So I was just like, it gave me such a warm feeling to know that my music inspired them. And then basically the following year, they're like, hey, Rick, could you come up here and help them with their creativity, whether it's songwriting, whether it's photography, video and video editing. So I was like, all right, I'll do that. And it's just been an organic growth from that. Just like, oh my God, my creativity can actually help people that are in a similar situation to what I was when I was younger. So that's how it came about. It's me just putting my love for music and an authentic story and being honest out there, and then it resonating with the audience that it's resonating with, and then just growing and following that curiosity to try and help more. Yeah. So in a nutshell, I've always followed my curiosity and just seen where it's gone.
Yeah, that's amazing, Ricky. That must have been so moving for you when they choreographed a
dance to my music. Yeah. That's why I'm at a weird crossroad where it's just like, oh, you know, motion graphics has always felt like I'm doing it for corporate, whereas music has felt like a life purpose in a sense. It's just like, oh, all of these experiences, whether good or bad, that I've had in foster care, it's actually, there's light at the end of the tunnel. I'm actually helping others that are within the community. It's just that my thing is, at the moment, to be honest, behind the scenes, it's just like, yeah, it's great, but I can't really, there feels like there's gonna be a compromise on like, from a financial point of view, to be real. If I work full-time within the charity sector. And yes, I'm at the start of a new journey, and I've created a label basically for care leavers. And in the bigger picture of things, yes, maybe I need to hire a fundraiser. Maybe I need to hire people that are more versed to make it actually work as a job. But I'm still figuring out if I want that to happen. I feel like I'm more in my comfort zone when I'm just, and I've been doing it for time, just like creating work. Whereas I'm in a kind of more of an admin-y role at the moment. It's just like kind of like, I'm trying to motivate you young people to like create music, but it feels like I'm in a place where it's not actually my comfort zone, and I'm just getting used to like, oh, do I want this to be full time? But as I said, overall, I just valued that freelancing has gave me the time to pursue my passions and really see where it goes. Because my thing is, overall, whether the music label doesn't work or not, I don't want to be that old person living with regrets. I want to say like, you know what, I put my all in to my music. I put my all into helping the young people as I could, and I've lived my life full, and I've seen how it went, and it's been great. And I put my all in. That's been my thing for a very long time. It's just like, I don't want to live with regrets. I want to go all into what I love and see what happens.
Yeah.
So when I'm old and grey, I can be like, I done it. I tried it all.
Yeah. Well, I have no doubt that you will feel that way. I know that from the beginning, since you joined us, I've always seen that drive and that enthusiasm in you, and I feel like that has just never ever, I'm like, how do you get this energy? Because that has never ever died down, which is great to see. And that sort of brings me on to the last question, and then I know we've had a couple of questions in the box which we really want to get to as well. But what is next for Ricky? And you know, you've achieved so much already. I know that you've touched on it a bit, but you know, what are your next goals as a freelancer?
I have no clue. Well, I do have a clue. All right, cool. So as I've probably expressed, I know that I'm the merging of music and motion graphics is going to be more aligned. If there was a space where I felt like I was just doing a lot of motion graphics for maybe ideas that I wasn't super into, but I just enjoyed making stuff move, I feel that's going to happen less so. I feel like music and motion graphics is going to merge more. And it's already happening. Like I've been doing a lot of work for Spotify recently, and I feel like I feel like that's going to happen more. So I'm even thinking about, reaching out to more corporate music clients, whether it's Tidal, whether it's Apple Music. I'm thinking about that. But at this immediate moment in time, I'm like, you know what? I've managed to secure funding for a care leaver, a care experience record label till September, and I need to go all in on that and make sure I can help these young people as much as I can. So to be honest, that's the immediate goal till September. We'll see where it goes from there. If I've managed to find the next Adele, this record label could really be it. But if it doesn't happen, look, I've got motion graphics, and I'm going to be merging it more with music anyway. So that's an idea of how the future's going to look in a nutshell.
That sounds amazing. Honestly, Ricky, I feel like this talk has been so inspiring, and I just love it because I feel like it's such a lovely example of, life isn't linear, and that there may be some people that are joining today that are unsure where their path is going to go. And I think it's great to sort of, like you said, you've kind of got your bread and butter, you're good at motion graphics, you can do it like the back of your hand, you're always going to have that security blanket, but it's allowed you to explore all these other passions. And I imagine probably a lot of people on this call have, dual passions going on, and it's great to know that it can be achieved and that you can totally do both. And it may turn out that you end up, and I have absolutely no doubt that you will just end up doing exactly what it is you're set out to doing with music. And I think it's really inspiring to hear that story. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And one thing I wanted to say as well was that when you mentioned about being authentic, and I feel like that's the key to everything, because if you're authentically you, people see that, and that's what people kind of, maybe it's not the right phrase, but buy into. People want authenticity, don't they? And I feel like that's how you live your whole life, and in everything you do. And
100%. And that's the only way you're gonna have energy for the long run. You can only fake it till you make it for so long. I've had friends say do that with, oh, Rick, just learn 3D because you're gonna get more money out of it. You're gonna do this and do that. I'm just like, no, that's not me. The fact I've been able to do so much is literally because I'm passionate about it and because I love it. Thank you for reminding that, because honestly, guys, for the long run, that's the wave. You have to be authentic. You have to be honest with your skills and ability, and you have to be super curious and hardworking. If you're all them things, then you're gonna get far. On your terms.
Great bit of advice. So good. Amy, do you want to mention the questions that we have?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Thank you, Ricky. That was amazing. I feel like everybody got so much from that, even, us TCC staff members as well. It's so important to, like you say, focus on the passion first. And then, obviously people have to be practical and, obviously you've got to pay bills and stuff. But if you really focus on the passion, then, you can then use that to, sell and make more money.
And another thing about passion is I've always just been curious about actually just executing an idea. Just what will happen if I do this camera technique? What happen if I do light painting on the street and introduce people to light painting? The way I actually got my first, after getting a job through D&AD, the way I actually got into LBI on Brick Lane is because I did my own passion project on the street, introducing people to light painting. And then a creative director saw me, was like, what the hell are you doing? I was like, look, I'm introducing people to this new way of photography. He's like, Rick, I love your passion. We're doing an internship at the moment where we've shortlisted over 1,000 people, but I'm going to make you so basically the shortlisted, at that time, they were on the last 30 people. And he basically just put me into the shortlist of the last 30 people. And I was there for like another 2 months, all because I was out there doing a passion project on the street. And he loved my passion. So the thing is, like, people can see through when you just want to do the job for the job, or you just want to do something for the money. If they see that you're going above and beyond with no money to do what you want, then you're gonna, honestly, people, they're gonna see your passion. You're gonna get work alone just for your enthusiasm to show the world something when you're getting nothing for it apart from the creativity of doing it. So honestly, I feel like my secret, really, I don't go on tangents a lot, guys. I feel like, honestly, my secret is literally just following my passion, and then the money will work itself out.
Yeah, exactly.
That's always, yeah, I feel that's the secret.
Yeah, definitely. That's some amazing advice. Thanks, Ricky. And if you guys don't know what your passion is yet, my advice would be just to explore everything. Just get your fingers in lots of pies, collaborate with people, work on lots of different projects, figure out what it is that you love. But
yes, and then you'll get to a point where you're like me, and you're just like, you know what, you need to narrow down, Rick. You can't do everything. But until you get to that point, follow your passions, be a yes man or yes woman, do it all, and it will all work out.
Amazing. Cool. All right. Well, we'll come to our little question bar. Thank you guys for joining and for being so engaged with this. I know it'd be hard not to. Deb, you asked, do you think freelancing has changed since lockdown and COVID? So Ricky, what are your kind of thoughts on that as a freelancer?
Freelancing changed since lockdown and COVID. I mean, initially it changed for everyone, right? Like really exciting jobs that had coming up all of a sudden just, got pushed back. And it was kind of scary because it's like, oh, what am I going to fall back on? I haven't got like even the way I'm set up as a limited company, I wasn't getting universal credit or any sort of money through on a regular basis from the government. It was kind of scary at first, but overall, what I'm grateful for with motion graphics is that it's a digital role, and after a couple months, it's been quite steady, and it's been amazing that you can work remotely from anywhere. Like last year, I was working from Portugal, and I've loved the idea of being a digital nomad since I was probably trending in like 2015, 16. So just the fact that you have a digital role has been incredible. But apart from that, has it changed? Just working remotely, working from home. And I do miss working in the office, I do miss working in the office. But before I go on another tangent, as I said, apart from initially, it hasn't changed too much.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's and even Deb as well, just from our perspective with all of our freelancers, it was I'd say for the digital roles and the roles that are able to lend itself to working remotely. Once 2021 came about and people had their protocols in place, people were able to work remotely, and that sort of is continuing even now. So they'll maybe go in for one meeting, for a pre-production meeting, they'll maybe go in for a viewing, but then a lot of it could be done remotely, and that's either using your own software, your own kit, or you can actually dial in sometimes and use the kit provided by the agency or production company or post house or whatever it is. But obviously it was a different case for those more production roles based on location. But as I say, for digital roles, it's kind of been able to work out okay, which has been really, really good.
Add to that, sorry, because I know that, Deb, you asked that at a time we were talking about work-life balance. So I also wonder whether maybe you were touching on the fact that lockdown and COVID, it merged, didn't it, personal life and work life so much, and it was really difficult to kind of shut off. And I think with that, I know that probably many of even our internal staff found it hard to work remotely and then kind of switch off completely so they can enjoy some of their personal time, downtime. And I think with that, it's probably just really important to set, if you are doing a lot of remote work, set times, like set boundaries that you really stick to, and make sure you are getting to enjoy your evenings, totally switching down your laptop, whatever it might be, and then putting on some music, whatever it might be, to get your mind out of work and into your own life. So I touch on that bit.
Yeah, no, amazing. And actually that probably leads into Anna Marie's question. She said, I get worried sometimes if I monetize any of my passions, I won't enjoy it after a while. And some of my friends have agreed with me on this too. How would you go about this? Or do you think it was never really a passion? So I guess it can be tricky, I guess, when you're doing something that you love. You're turning it into a job, you're monetizing it, and then I guess you might be, you know, at home behind your computer screen for hours and hours and hours, and you think, oh my goodness, I've sucked all the fun out of this. So yeah, I guess, is there anything you can say, maybe Ricky, to put Anna Marie's mind at ease about this, perhaps?
Yeah, I don't know how to answer it really. I mean, there's you know, when it comes to the thing is, I feel like there's an expectation when something becomes, when you get paid from a client for your passion, and maybe that expectation is what's like killing the idea of it. But that's with every job. Like, there's been aspects of like photography that I don't like. There's been aspects of the music industry that I don't like. But you just got to roll with the punches, and that's like, what are you willing to just know that this is a part of the job? Or do you just want to keep it as a passion and just like not do it as consistently? Yeah, it's yeah. When something comes to a job, there's always going to be an aspect that you're not going to like, but you just have to accept it or keep it as a passion. That's the only way I can answer it, really.
Yeah, no, amazing. I think you answered that really well, Ricky, and hopefully, Anna, that answers your question a little bit. Feel free to, you know, ask another question if you feel you want to know a bit more.
But, you know, to what Laura said, obviously, like, you can have, once you get a lot of experience within that skill, you can have boundaries on certain things. Like, I don't know specifically what makes you hate your passion, but, you know, for photography, if you feel like you're getting, I don't know, too many amends or too many changes or too much airbrushing, like, you can put that in the brief from the get-go. Just like, all right, there's only going to be 3 rounds of amends, XYZ, and just make it work for you, if that makes sense. You know, I think, yeah, there needs to be set boundaries to a certain extent to make sure it doesn't feel like a chore. So yeah, not just like work-life balance, also your job. Just trying to make it work for you in the best case scenario as much as possible.
Thanks, Ricky. And then Alexia had a question as well. It sounds like both motion graphics and photography are both your passion. How do you find time to do both? Do you find it hard to balance the two?
I do find it hard to balance the 2 or 3, but what I feel, another thing I've noticed about being in London, I feel like everyone's a graphic designer or photographer, like literally everyone that I meet. So this is what I mean about really understanding what's unique that you're bringing to the table, and what's working for you. So as I said, I feel like from being immersed in the media industry, I felt like motion graphics has been of value. So that's really been my main bread and butter. Photography, I've got to a point this year where it's like, I might have felt like, is the grass greener on the other side? Because there's a saying about photography in the sense of like, sometimes I feel like I'm in front of my computer literally about 12 hours a day, which ain't that desirable. But, you know, there's an illusion, there's like an idea in my head like, oh, you know what? You could be out for like 3-4 hours shooting, interesting people and locations, and then you're at home editing and you're listening to music, da da da. And I've had this like grass is greener on the other side of this idea for ages. But I've just got to a point now, I'm just like, you know what, Rick, I'm not becoming complacent. I'm like, you're 35, you've seen that motion graphics is really working for you. You've seen that in the sense of like a soul-fulfilling point of view, music and helping the young people within the care sector is really working for you. Double down on them and make it like an 80-20. So maybe 80 to motion graphics, maybe 20 to giving back, and just double down on that. That's kind of where I'm at with things. Like I'm doing photography still. I've got an exhibition in Brick Lane, not Brick Lane, at the Rich Mix on Bethnal Green very soon, but that's kind of where I'm going with things. But essentially, yeah, motion graphics actually pays the bills. So I spend more time on that, and then the 20% I dabble in.
Yeah, photography. Amazing. I think that's really good advice. And yeah, like even that split, you know, you could say 4 days of the week I'm going to work on motion graphics, and then on the fifth or sixth day I'm going to work on this.
It's very hard to even say 4 days. Like I remember back in 2016, I came back from traveling, and I remember saying to Crew Company, I was like, guys, I'm only going to work 3 days a week now. And I do remember speaking to you guys, and it might have come across rude, and I didn't mean it like that. I was just in a space where I was just like, I'm passionate about seeing where my music can go and helping young people within care. So I'm just like, to make my schedule regimented, I can only do motion graphics for 3 days. But then what I realized with you guys is that I wasn't getting any work, because motion graphics projects doesn't really work like that. Even now, I have like, it's very hard to juggle it all, but I feel like you just have to be, if you take a freelance lifestyle, you have to just be very dynamic and just make things work around it. Like, so my typical thing is like motion graphics is the priority. So it's like, all right, boom, if I'm working on this for 2 weeks, boom, I'm going to work on motion graphics for 2 weeks. And then the next week, before I get my next job, I got to go all in on my music. There's never been like a nice sweet schedule where it's just like, yeah, I'm only going to work on this for a few days. Like I haven't been able to get into that space where a client understands that. Maybe I need to have more conversations. Maybe that happen in the future. But my thing is always be ready, always be dynamic, and you'll make it work.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting, and especially you know, if for people who've got a few different things going on, I guess it's, you know, literally thinking about what you're doing at all times. So, you know, plan your days off and plan when you're going to do, you know, like you said, I'm going to do this for 2 weeks, and then I know I've got 3 weeks, so I'm going to go full steam ahead with that. Then I'm going to take 2 days off. So you're not sort of just coasting, you know, you're not just sort of planning the next few days, and then like, you know, you get up on a Saturday and you think, oh, what am I going to do for the next couple of days? You know, just actually be really diligent with planning your time.
Maybe a more concise way of how I looked at it, because sorry, my brain just goes everywhere. Like, I realized after a while, as long as I worked 10 days of the motion graphics, I realized after a while that I could afford to take time off. So I made sure that, like, although, yeah, I had to be dynamic, I made sure that, all right, cool. As soon as I've done at least 10 to 12 days of motion graphics, I can afford to say, all right, I'm not doing any more work for this month, and I'm just going to focus on my passion projects. That's another way that I realized after a while. It did take me a few years to work that out, but after a while, I realized that's a way of making sure I've got time for other stuff.
Amazing. Thank you, Ricky. And yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up there. Sorry, we've gone over on time, but there was just so much to talk about today. And, you know, we would never want to cut Ricky off with all the amazing advice you've been giving. It's been really inspiring all round. So yes, I will leave you all there. Yes, feel free to get in touch with me. I'm the talent manager here at the Korean Company, and you know, even if you're not applying to join the books, I'm always here to have a chat with you guys about, you know, building your career, and can offer some helpful advice and on what sort of direction you want to go in. So just drop us an email on the address below, maybe take a picture or a screenshot of that, or you can always give us a ring, and yeah, our website's there as well. So thank you all so much, and thank you, Ricky, as well. And yes, the next event will be on the last Wednesday of every month. We're moving the events to the last Wednesday of every month as opposed to the last Tuesday. But if you follow us on LinkedIn, the Korean Company, on our social channels, then you'll see every month we'll post the event there of who we'll be speaking to next. So thank you all. And yeah, oh yeah, Rick's also just posted there as well.
Yeah, no, you're saying how to get in contact. I'm just saying, you know, plug in on my socials.
Do it.
So yeah, like Rick Flow on Spotify, Apple Music, all of that jazz.
Very good. I follow you, Rick. I follow you on Spotify. A few of your songs have made it to my monthly playlist as well.
Hey, amazing. Amazing.
So this has been so brilliant, Ricky. Thank you ever so much. It's such an interesting talk and so inspiring. I feel like full of energy now. I want to go and do everything.
Pleasure as always. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody for joining. It's great to see everybody here.
Thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your day, and hope to see you next time. Bye.
See you guys.
Bye.